Hi everybody, welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. My name is Rebecca and I recap live trials. I am currently covering the trial of Robert Tellis for the murder of Jeff Gurman. Now, Robert Tellis was the former public administrator for Cook County from 2019 until 2022. He is charged with the murder of Jeff Gurman with a weapon on a person over 60. So there's a couple of aggravators going on here. Now, I covered the opening statements in my first video, and I will link that somewhere here. And if you want to hear what happened on day 1 and 2, stay tuned. Oh, iced coffee. It's the best during summer. My jewelry is falling apart. I have these on my little paper clip, and they're falling apart. Anyway, welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, I'm so glad to have you. If you are one of my return viewers, equally glad that you're here. I am trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of my event, which is the end of September. So whatever you can do to help me out, share this video with somebody, subscribe. Anyway, currently covering the trial of Robert Tellis. So I was going to put out a couple of videos over the weekend, but I was just wiped out and not feeling well. So I do feel a lot better today. Yes. I think a front came through and maybe that was affecting my well-being, if you will. Anyway, feel better today. So we're going to pick up where we left off. The first person on the stand, now the first couple of people on the stand were neighbors, the Baileys that lived across the street from Mr. Gurman, Jeff Gurman. He had lived in this neighborhood for, oh my gosh, 26, 27 years. And so had all these people. It's a little cul-de-sac. So the Baileys testified. They were the couple that went over the following day, September 3rd, and found Mr. Gurman's body. He was murdered on September 2nd of 2022. So the next person to take stand was another neighbor. Her name was Debbie Ryan. She also lives across the street. She had also noticed on September 2nd during, these are busy people. They're going in and out of the house and doing things. COVID is on the tail end of COVID and they're just moving about, wow, we get to get out of the house. She noticed this garage door open. So she called because she didn't really think much about it. She walked over to his house. She knocked on the door. Nobody answered. So she went on about her day. So that evening, when she saw it was still open, she went over to the Baileys. And then the next morning, when the Baileys went over and discovered the body, she had also gone over there. No, she had gone over with them the night before when Mr. Bailey closed the garage door. The next morning, I don't know if she was present the next morning when the body was actually found, but that's what she had to add. I don't know how that moves the case forward at all, but okay. So the next person on the stand was a crime scene investigator. Now, the state is playing this. They're presenting their cases a little differently. They have a little bit of a different strategy than you normally see. First, you'll see lay witnesses, the neighbors, the eyewitnesses, people that are not law enforcement. And then you will get the initial person that arrives on the scene and, law enforcement wise. And eventually they'll work around it to the detective that is in charge of the case. So the state attorney's strategy is to keep everything very narrowly focused because the defense's argument is my client was framed. Robert Tellis is being framed by the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. Now, I do have a source, and some of you might know her, that lives in that county out in Las Vegas, and she said, yes, this is something that would be in the mind of the jurors, that police department has been known for corruption. And I'm not saying that it's true. I don't know if it's true or not true. But what I'm telling you is that in the If you say seek a jury of peers from this county, they think that. That's their mindset. So right away, we've got this mindset coming into this. Now, I didn't sit through jury selection, so I don't know if that was something that was asked of these people. But so they're trying to limit the defense's ability to question everybody that was at that scene, all the officers and stuff, about who was on the scene, because their theory is that there was a criminal investigator, not a homicide investigator. There was a criminal investigator that was investigating Robert Tellis, that planted evidence in Robert Tellis's home for the murder of Jeff Berman. Okay. And the less people that he has to ask about who was on that scene, the better. So the first crime scene analyst talked about, she took a lot of pictures, a lot of photographs of the scene where the murder occurred, Jeff Berman's home. The entry to his home was on the right side, and on the left side was where his body was found. Because you go around the left side, and there's like a little succulent garden type, Las Vegas type area, and that's where he was found. But people don't normally go that way. The neighbor, when she went to knock on his door, went to the right, where his front door is. She would have had to find him. She would have had to cross the garage and go to the other side of the house. Anyway, so this woman took pictures at the crime scene. She said there was a wallet sticking out of his back pocket. His car keys were in his possession. There was blood on the bushes. Now, she said blood on the bushes, but when she showed the picture, it was like they had to zoom in for you to see this blood. It was so minute. This is what I can't figure out about this thing. Where was the blood on this scene? So blood on the bushes. So they took pictures of these couple of little spots of blood on the bushes. Then there was like this outdoor decor. It was, one of these ceramic figurines, and there was a drop of blood on that. So they took DNA from that and pictures. Then inside the house, she photographed a trash bag. Then she went through the trash bag where she found a receipt from Roberto's restaurant that was dated September 2nd, and it was at 9:03 a.m. And that is where he went right before he was murdered. And I need to know what's good at this restaurant at 9:03, at this taco shop at 9:03 in the morning, because there was quite a crowd there. Because later on they get surveillance footage just to prove that he was there that day, and he was. But they must have something really good, because the parking lot's full and people are going in and out. I don't know what's good at the taco shop. I'm going to get my source to tell me. I'm going to send her on an errand to go to the taco shop. So anyway. So then she photographed the exterior of the home and the interior, and there was no signs of forced entry, doors, windows, nowhere. No signs of disturbance in the house. She said house was very neat, put together, no signs of anything. Same with the car, no signs of trying to get in the car. No, it was neat and tidy. And that was it for her. So she was asked by the defense attorney along this line that I was talking about before, did she see any criminal intelligence officers at the scene? And she's like, I don't remember. There was a lot of detectives at the scene. But she did say, and I think this was kind of rehearsed, that the scene is locked down and that only people that are currently involved in the investigation come, beyond the crime scene tape. So you would think that would answer his question, but no. He goes on to ask other people. So the next person on the stand is a public information officer. So on the 5th of September, this is all 2022, 3 days after the murder, by now they have found a video of a suspect. And here is the video that was shown during a press release.
Outside home.
Yep.
What are we looking at there?
We're looking at surveillance video from the neighborhood
of where the Gehrman murder occurred that homicide gave to the Public Information Office to release for a press conference on September 6th, 2022.
And there was video, this is sort of a still of the video evidence that was released?
Yes.
Okay, can we just play that?
So actually, there was a photo shown on the 5th, and then that video that you just saw was on the 6th. The following person on the stand was another crime scene investigator who was taking photographs where the warrant was executed on the defendant's home, Robert Tellis. She took photos. First photo we see is a drawer in his kitchen where there's some kitchen scissors inside the drawer. So she takes a picture. There's a spot on these kitchen scissors that looks like it could be blood. So that was processed for DNA. Then she was called over by a detective. She said, I don't look for evidence. They just tell me where to go and I take pictures of it. So they called her to the living room where there were sneakers found underneath this large L-shaped sofa. It was on the other side at the end of the sofa under the reclining portion. When you, one of the things they do when you execute the search warrant, you're searching as you recline the chair and you shine your light under there. And that's when they found the shoes. And that came in through testimony of another officer later on. So what else? She was not asked about seeing anybody on this scene. So then the next person on the stand was a guy that does sewer maintenance, and he was talking about this project that was on the same road that Jeff German lives on. Jeff lives at the end on a cul-de-sac, but if you follow that road down, there was a sewer project going on, and this guy talked about, he drove up and he saw this red Yukon Denali and a guy sitting in it wearing clothing that they would wear on their job site, these orange reflective vests. And before he even had a chance to figure out who this guy was, if he was one of the workers or whatever, the guy drove off. Now, this guy didn't remember that. It was brought to his attention. Once this was seen on a video surveillance of one of the neighbors, it was brought to his attention. I don't know. I think the purpose of having him on the stand was just to say that we wear the similar clothing. I don't know. In any case, here is the portion of that surveillance footage where he is at this maintenance project that's going on.
We'll start it up again. I'm going to stop it right here. Do you see a vehicle that you just described to us previously?
Yes.
Okay, where is it located on this footage?
It's the SUV on the right top corner.
All right, resuming playing. That white truck, who's driving that white truck?
I am.
And that's kind of the interchange that you saw, correct?
That's correct.
And
Then the following person on the stand was Clifford Mogg. He was tasked with surveillance, like his unit was tasked with surveillance. He said, all together with the guys in my unit and various other people, he said, all total, we had about 25 guys canvassing neighborhoods, stores, traffic cameras, whatever they could find for surveillance footage of this red Yukon Denali traveling between Robert Tellis's home and Jeff Gurman's home, 5.3 miles. He said they finally located 25 officers looking at all this footage. I don't know how many days it took them, but they narrowed it down to 22 different locations, cameras that had evidentiary value, showing this Yukon Denali going from Tellus's over to Jeff Gurman's property, kind of meandering around that neighborhood. It followed, and then eventually after the murder, it goes back to Tellus's property. But he got several of those. The footage did show you could kind of see somebody inside it. They were wearing an orange shirt. You could see the orange. But he said it was the same Yukon Denali in the surveillance because their passenger visor was down. And when they located the Denali at Tellus's home, the passenger visor was down, which is not so unusual when it's 115 degrees out in Vegas during the day. But he also noticed there was something on the dashboard in the right-hand corner, which was also in Robert Tellus's vehicle. I don't know what that was. The rims were unique. Well, not unique, specific to this vehicle, but there aren't that many of this particular vehicle that have those rims. And then he noticed the window tinting, the driver window and the windshield were not tinted. Same with Robert Tellus's vehicle. So he walked to the jury, presented this PowerPoint where he walked the jury through each one of these cameras where different people went different places. Some of it was Jeff Gurman, like going to Roberto's, but some of it was Robert Tellus. Vehicle, the Yukon Denali. We don't ever see Robert Tellus on any surveillance video. And then on cross-examination, this detective was asked, were you aware that he was already under surveillance by another team out of your police department? No. Because the criminal investigation unit was already surveilling him for an investigation that they were conducting of Robert Tellus for corruption, political corruption. So, oh boy, what a tangled web we weave. Okay. Then he talked about the cell phone of Robert Tellus. He wasn't aware the cell phone was being tracked either. But during the murder, Robert Tellus's cell phone was pinging near his home. So the explanation for that, there could be several explanations, but the most probable is that he just left it at home while he was traveling around. Because I haven't heard what his alibi is. Like, where were you if you didn't commit this murder? Where were you? Anyway, next person on stand, medical examiner. And now I might be going into day 2 here. I might have already transitioned into day 2. So I'm going to try to complete day 2 on this video here. Bear with me. So the medical examiner, and I'll try to boil this down. I felt like she was playing games. She was not really answering she would answer the question without really answering the question. Like, yeah, I'll answer your question, but you're not answering it. You're not asking me the right question. Like, I know what you want to know, but I'm not going to tell you unless you ask me the right question. That kind of thing. So the critical wounds were 13 stab wounds. Well, 13 wounds. 6 of them were stab wounds. One was to the anterior of the neck, which that cut through his carotid and larynx. So it kind of went like this. And that was not a stabbing wound. That was a slicing wound. Like somebody went like that. Then the left lateral area and the posterior back here. And then the right posterior. Those 2 were superficial. But the anterior, this one would have been fatal. Then there was 2 stab wounds to his torso. one on the front that punctured the left lung, the aorta, and the heart, the right ventricle of the heart, and that also would have been fatal. The second stab wound was diaphragm and the left kidney that were damaged during those. And the penetration of the blade, the deepest penetration wound was about 3 inches, but she said you really couldn't determine the length of the knife by that because maybe they didn't push it all the way in, maybe they pushed it in too far, so it could have been less than 3 inches, more than 3 inches. You don't know. On his right hand and forearm, there was a lot of superficial slicing wounds, like defensive wounds, like somebody was like that. Then he had stab wounds on his back, and this guy was. But here's the problem. And the defense attorney was trying to figure it out. Where was the blood? Where's all the blood? And she said, well, the bleeding could have been internal. Well, was it? No, it was minimal internal bleeding. So where was all the blood? And when she was asked these questions, she never really explained why there was not much blood loss. What is your explanation for that? Inquiring minds want to know, but I don't know. I still don't know. And the jury's allowed to ask questions. That would have been one of mine. Where's the blood? Was there any blood left in his body? What's going on? The only thing I can surmise is that the slashing wound, it had to be the stabbing wound that penetrated the right ventricle of the heart, which pumps blood. When that got injured, the bleeding probably stopped, whatever blood there was. So that's the only thing I can think. So the next couple of people on the stand, interesting characters. These are a partnership. Used to be boyfriend and girlfriend, but now they're just partners in this real estate business where they worked very closely with Robert Tellis, who was a public administrator. And one of the jobs of the public administrator is, he's trying to administer all these properties and valuables that are left intestate. When somebody dies with no will, and they got to figure out what to do with it. So he would work with these realtors, this guy named Zach and his friend named Christy, and he would meet them at the property, and the homes, and Robert would go in with them and assess what needs to be done to get the home sold, and whatever work needed to be done, these two would get it done. Then they would get the home listed after that, and then they would get some kind of remuneration for doing that. But in any case, they did this a lot. Chrissy said there was a housing boom going on then, and they processed probably more than 30 homes in the time they knew him. They saw him several times a month. So Zach, and Christy even said Zach was very, very observant. He would always, she said, in fact, he commented on what I was wearing today. He's very observant. And they knew who the players were here. And when they heard that Robert Gurman had been murdered, Zach jokingly said, gosh, can you imagine that if that were Robert Tellis? Because they knew that he had no love lost for Jeff Gurman. So that happens, they see all this in the media. Then a few days later, they see this video footage that's gone out by press release. And Zach's comment was, God, that looks a lot like Robert Gurman. Same gait, same cheap sneakers. He said he would buy those cheap Nike sneakers that you get at Marshall and Ross, where they replace the leather with rubber, that these are what Robert Tellis liked to wear. And that's what this was being worn in this photograph. But he's like, he didn't think anything of it. But then when he saw the Yukon Denali, he's like, ding, 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 ding. Oh my God, this is Robert Tellis. Yeah, so he calls Crime Stoppers, and Christy um, did that as well. But she said Zach's comment was, the day they found out about the murder of Jeff Berman, like, imagine if Robert Tellis did that. Imagine if he did. Then the next 3 detectives that were on the stand were people that were not really in charge of the investigation. They were just kind of helping out execute the search warrant on Robert Tellis's home. And one detective found the sneakers, and this is the one that I told you he reclined the chair, shone his light underneath it, and there were the sneakers. The other one, there was another one that found the bag, that similar to the bag that this guy in the video is carrying, and another person that found the hat. And the hat was inside of a Sprouts grocery bag. So all 3 of those people appeared. No one had any recollection of Detective Jaffe being on the scene, planting evidence. No one had any recollection of Detective Jaffe. Detective Jaffe is the criminal investigator who was conducting this independent investigation of Robert Tellis for corruption in the public administrator's office. So that is day 1 and day 2. Now I still have to recap day 3. Today will be day 4. They're on Vegas time, so they're still asleep when I'm doing this video. So I will get you guys all caught up. Don't worry, this is not going to be a short trial, because the defense they're setting up is complicated, and but if it's successful, I think it's an interesting strategy that could work given the mindset of the people that live in Las Vegas. Yeah. I mean, we know that this is a town that was run by the mafia for many, many years. And, corruption is not new to Vegas. So I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Take care, everybody.